Hello, welcome back. I have the esteemed Charles Lamanna, Corporate Vice President of Business Applications and Platforms. How you doing, bud?
Great. Thank you for having me on the show.
You had a ton of keynotes, a ton of amazing things that let's start with the copilots. Tell us about the Microsoft's vision for copilots.
Yeah, I think the big thing that you've probably seen at Build throughout is that we're moving Copilot beyond just chat. So it's not just a conversational experience, but increasingly things like automation or even the new agent capabilities that we're talking about. And that's this idea of not just a Copilot working side by side with you, but also a Copilot that works for you in the background. So that is what I think the big Copilot change really that we've highlighted at Build.
And that's amazing. So you said something about agents, and we have some time, so let it marinate. Tell us about agent capabilities.
Yeah, so there's this new idea of kind of taking the generative AI capabilities in the large language model and not just using it to generate text, but instead start to generate orchestration plans and just general planning. And what that means is you can actually disconnect the Copilot from a chat-based experience and start to empower it to run in the background. So it's this idea of a Copilot that responds to events from a database or an application, or a Copilot that's able to go work on behalf of a team of people or an organization or a department, not just your own individual use case. And agents kind of unlock all these different use cases. And you saw that in Satya's keynote and Rajesh's keynote, Scott's keynote, where agents make an appearance because it really elevates what's possible with Copilots. And of course, in Copilot Studio, my favorite product that Build this year.
The thing I like the most is you said, I wanted to break the Copilots out of the chat with agents. Can you tell us a little bit more about what an agent looks like and what is it that it's doing? Because you said disconnected, but it's still connected. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, the big thing is like in the past when people think of generative AI, you think maybe of ChatGPT or large language models. So text input gives you text output. And that lends itself very naturally to a conversation with a person. What agents start to do is we start to ask, what if the text input wasn't a chat message from a person? What if the text input was an event from a system, or content on a file share, or some back-end trigger like an API call? And that kind of opens this whole new class of use cases for Copilot. And if you kind of go to the next step of that for agents is, it's less something that's in your face one-on-one, more something running in the background after you've gone and configured it. And if you go look at a lot of the demos you've seen for agents so far, it's kind of tricky because you can't really show something running in the background. So you see a lot of the use of what we call the debug view, where you can see what's the thought process and the reasoning that the Copilot's using as it steps through all these different steps on the back end. And kind of that all ties together to have this idea of agents which start from chat, agents which start from events, agents which can start from an API call. And that makes Copilots not just be a very narrow thing like chat, but start to encompass controls and logic and applications and even workflow. So clearly we're thinking big at Build 2024.
I mean, that's amazing because if only there was a tool for capturing events and doing steps of work. Do you know anything like that?
I do, and excellent setup. So Copilot Studio is we've been working on this for a while, and because what we've wanted to do is how can we make it easy for people to create their own Copilots? Because it's not just about the Microsoft Copilot and extending the Microsoft Copilot, which is great, but everybody wants their own use case. And I imagine a world where a typical company will have more Copilots than even people they have at work, kind of like for Power Automate or Power Apps today, it's normal to have more apps or more Power Automate workflows than you have employees. Same thing will be true for Copilot. So go to Copilot Studio. It's a managed environment. It's really easy to use. And we have a few high-level constructs in Copilot Studio. We have this thing called knowledge, which is where you configure content and information that your Copilot should use. You have the ability to configure instructions, which is like a meta prompt for the Copilot. Actions, which are workflows or back-end systems you can interact with. And then overrides or topics, so you can configure specific behavior in specific use cases. And then what we do is we take all of that, we wire it up, and we let the large language model actually decide when to invoke knowledge sources, when to invoke actions. And that's how you get something so capable with so little configuration. And whether you're a developer or a business analyst, you can go incredibly far with Copilot Studio.
And I don't like the designation low code, no code, because if you think about it, LLMs are the quintessential no code situation, and I love how you're doing that. How do you see this transforming the way folks do business.
Yeah, so I mean, the big thing, and I love that you brought that up, because if you look at like the demos you even saw from GitHub Copilot at Build this year, it's even natural language to code generation in VS Code. It doesn't mean code goes away, but it does mean that increasingly we're going to communicate with programming languages and systems very similar to the way we talk to another person. And large language models can do that decoding from natural language to the code itself. Or in the case of Copilot Studio or the Power Platform, there's some intermediate domain-specific language, which we then have a visual authoring environment about. So that's how it all starts to play together. And that's the future, not no-code, low-code, pro-code, Copilot-first development.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot of the automation that you do are like this new AI flowy kind of thing. So tell us about that. AI flows, AI recorder, you have something called that, right?
Yes, yeah, and I think so I'll start with AI recorder. So if anyone's ever done robotic process automation or RPA, you're probably familiar with this idea where you have like a screen macro recorder where you track the mouse clicks and the keyboard inputs you do, or you can go edit some code, and that's how you build repeatable automations which run on a desktop. And the reason you do this is because there's not always an API to existing systems. If, say, it's a 20-year-old app or a mainframe app, it may be the only way to interact with that system is through a UI automation. And a typical large enterprise will have thousands of these RPAs configured. Problem, it's hard to build, complex, brittle, fragile. What AI Recorder does is it makes it where you can actually start recording, have Copilot watch what you're doing on the screen, you talk to the Copilot to explain what you're doing, and then we will automatically build an automation for you that can run locally or in the cloud. And this makes the cost way less, but what's more exciting to me is it makes the desktop automations way more robust. So AI Recorder kind of has you record with Copilot to go configure all of these automations on the back end. And I think it's pretty clear, like once the team built this and I saw the first demo of it a few months ago, I went, well, clearly this is the future of RPA. Like it's gonna be the only way you wanna do this, just so much faster, more robust. Then AI flows are different because AI flows live more in the cloud, they use APIs, they work over backend systems. The big thing that makes AI flows different from classic workflow definition is you don't actually define all the explicit steps. You don't say, when this happens, do this, if this, else that. Instead, you describe the outcome you want, and then you provide as much detail as you can. So that can be documents or knowledge bases. And then we will dynamically build a workflow in response to an event to achieve that outcome. So what that means is instead of having to do all the permutations of, say, a policy for approvals or understand all the different pricing criteria, you're able to just describe it once and have it be assembled a nearly infinite number of times. And that just means you cover a much, much broader surface area when it comes to automations. So you're not constrained to just a few specific workflows. Different way of thinking about it.
It's like living in the future.
Yes.
Like the AI flow sounds like a leadership class. You need to talk about what you wanted to accomplish.
Yes.
You don't tell it what to do.
Yes.
So it's like a leadership class built into an AI tool.
Yes. It's like almost we put OKRs in the future, even stuff like that. So.
Oh, I just had a flashback of OKR meetings. So let's talk about security because it's obviously an important topic.
Yes.
Tell us about how we can make these things secure.
Yeah. So I mean, there's three big things I'd really highlight. So the first is everything that we build, of course, has security built into it by default. And you heard about the Secure Future Initiative, a whole bunch at Build, which is all of our software and our platforms, we want to secure and make as robust and secure as possible. And that means many, many layers of defense. So make that be like Fort Knox, the products that we ship. Second thing is we want to go set it up so the solutions that you build are secure by default. So that's making sure we expose the right knobs, the right configuration, the right details inside of the product. So when you build an AI flow, or when you use AI Recorder, or when you use Copilot Studio, your solution is secure because we don't want to make things insecure by design or by default, right? So that's a big focus. The third piece is all of this works together. That's one of the things I love about working at Microsoft is if you use Copilot Studio, it pumps audit events to Defender, and you can use Sentinel to review everything that's happening. So you're able to use the same Microsoft security tools to look across everything.
All right, so just to finish up, what is one thing you want everyone to try today, and what are you most excited about for the future?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I would say is go give Copilot Studio a try. No credit card required, anyone can sign up. Start building and experimenting with Copilots. I was able to build a Copilot over all of Microsoft products for like a holiday shopping Copilot. And I was able to build that in less than 3 minutes.
What?
And, yes, and that's me. So you could probably build it in less than 2 minutes.
Probably
so,
5 minutes for sure. And my favorite feature, by the way, if you make a mistake and delete your environment, you can bring it back in minutes.
Not that we know.
Ask me later how I know. So this is amazing. So 2 call to actions, aka.ms build blog PP 2024, and the second one is aka.ms Charles Lamanna Work Lab podcast. Thank you so much for being with us, my friend.
Yes, thank you for having me. Good seeing you. Thank you, everybody.
More after this.